Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the St. Tammany Parish Planning Commission meeting of September the 10th. Will the clerk please call the roll? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Seeger?
Here.
Mr. Lorne?
Present.
Ms. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Willie?
Here.
Mr. Richard?
Here.
Mr. Doherty?
Here.
Mr. Baggert? Mr. Fitzmaurice? Mr. Crawford? Mr. Drum? Mr. Randolph? Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Public announcements, please silence all phones and electronic devices. If you disagree with the decision that this commission makes, you can appeal it to the council. The appeal forms are over on the railing there. And fill one out and turn it in. Speaker cards are over there with it also, and if you want to speak, please fill out a card and get it to staff so that we can get it up here. Public speaking, each side will have 10 minutes on each case with a 5-minute rebuttal. And after the case is heard, if you don't want to stay, you can exit, but please exit the building. Don't go out in the lobby out there and have a conversation because it echoes back into the chambers here. Please rise for the invocation by Commissioner Randolph and the pledge by Commissioner Carrollman.
Again, we come to you to say thank you for your grace, your mercy, and favor upon each and every one of us. We thank you for this opportunity to experience this day and be a part of this meeting. Bless each commissioner tonight, and Lord, bless those that's in the audience and those that are at home that we represent every day. We ask a special blessing upon our parish government as well as our employees. Bless our military personnel, law enforcement officers, firefighters, and medical personnel as well. In all these blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting, which were in your packet. If you have any questions or comments about the minutes, please bring it up. Commissioner Baggert.
I'll make a motion and we accept the minutes.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Baggert to approve the minutes. Commissioner Randolph.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Public hearings, request for postponement. Staff?
Yes, we have a request to postpone on the second page, 2019-1606, River Park Estates, and Mr. Paul Marone is here to address the commission.
16 what?
1604.
Okay. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Paul Marone on behalf of River Park Estates LLC. As you'll notice in the comments, the staff has recommended postponement of this because we have a number of outstanding items that we're still working on. We need the additional 30 days or until your next meeting to work through those, try to get the answers the staff needs, so we'd respectfully request that the matter be tabled until your next meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak against postponing this? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Let me read it into the record. It's 2019-1604-PP, River Park Estates Phase 2. The developer owner is River Park Estates LLC. Engineer surveyor is Deep South Design Group LLC. Parish Council representative is Honorable James Thompson. General location, the property is located on the north side of MP Blanchet Road, west of LA 25, Covington, Ward 3, District 3. Commissioner Willie.
Yes, move to postpone for 30 days.
Motion to postpone by Commissioner Willie. Commissioner Baggert.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Baggert. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Any other postponements, Helen?
No.
Okay. All right. Minor subdivision review. 2019-1651-MSP, minor subdivision of parcel J4A, G1A, and K into parcels J4A1, G1A1, K1, K2, and K3. The owners are Marina Beauchene LLC, Jared Rickey. The land, or surveyor is Land Surveying Incorporated. Parish Council District Representatives is Honorable Michael Lorino. This property is located at the end of Marina Boulevard, Mandeville, Ward 4, District 4. Staff?
This case was on the agenda last month and it was postponed due to the long list of required changes that we were requesting. And here they're coming in front of you, considering that they're trying to create 5 parcels from a 2.16 acre parcel of land. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing since more than one parcel is being accessed from a private drive. Parcel J4A1 does not meet the minimum lot frontage of 90 feet, which will require a waiver of the regulation. Also, the proposed parcels are not 1 acre in size, which will also require a waiver of the regulations, and a waiver of the detention requirements is also being requested due to the close location in the watershed and to the Chifuncta River Basin. Detention ponds will have no beneficial effect on the property. For that reason, a waiver of the detention requirements will be required if approved, and a fee in lieu of drainage shall be paid. So staff is in favor of the requested minor subdivision according to the following revision that are listed here on the staff report.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, Jared Rickey for Marina Beauchene, 17940, Covington, Louisiana, 70435. As several of y'all, or most of y'all remember, I was up here about a year ago for the zoning change containing some of these parcels. We purchased Marina Beauchene in April of 2018 and have spent a tremendous amount of time, energy, and effort to better the facility. What we're asking for tonight is a continuation of that process so we can begin the work on these lots in order to bring them to market. We recognize we have a very unique piece of property here. What we're dealing with is a parcel on the Chifuncta River that's inside and surrounded by our marina, which is inside and surrounded by Beauchene. And we take the location, the dealing with Beauchene Homeowners Association, and we take the fact that we're surrounded by wetlands very seriously. If this was a kind of a common, normal, raw piece of property, we wouldn't have to ask for so many waivers. But due to the fact that we are surrounded by wetlands, we are on the river, and we are currently at the end of a private drive, which has been being utilized, I would guess, the entire time the marina's been in existence, which predates our ownership by, say, 25, 30 years. It puts us in a unique position. We are asking to redevelop 3 lots into 5, but I would also like you to pay attention to the new lot J4A1, which is still part of the marina. It's not a lot that's going to be turned into a home site or anything like that. We kind of went to that northwest corner to pick up the lift station that services part of Marina Beauchene and that will service these lots, to make sure that the lift station didn't end up on a private lot that was sold. I'm aware you can get around that with servitudes, but while we were going through this process, we thought it best to clean it up that way. Like I said, we recognize the fact we have a few items here that we're asking for waivers on. Obviously, we will be, and we currently are servicing more than one lot off of a private drive. One of the things I'd like to make clear, both for the record for y'all and for the Beauchene Homeowners Association, which is here tonight, is we recognize the fact that with this private drive, it is our responsibility. It's ours to build, it's ours to maintain, it's ours to upkeep. It's certainly not St. Tammany Parish's, and it's certainly not Beauchene Homeowners Association. Again, we're in a unique position because we're doing stuff inside of Beauchene's gates, and we are our own entity. But I think, as they can attest, we've spent the last 16, 18 months working very well with each other hand in hand as far as that item goes. Let's see. The 90-foot public road frontage, there's really no easy way for us to work around that. I guess we could try and manipulate property lines and try and redraw things, really to no avail other than to try and meet that requirement. So we would rather just ask for the waiver. And that kind of puts us to the third item, which is that our parcels are not 1 acre in size. Now, we do own, as most of y'all remember, the 11.5, almost 12 acres of wetlands just to the northeast of the piece that we're talking about that borders the river. It's all wetlands. We could sit here and try and reconfigure lots and make them 1 acre or 2 acres each to get around that, but it would be disingenuous at best. And reality of it is, we don't want to open that door for a lot owner later down the road to try and mitigate and try and fill in that portion of the lot, to utilize that portion of the lot. We've made the commitment to you all, we've made the commitment to the Beauchene Homeowners Association that we're not mitigating. We are using avoidance, total avoidance for what we're doing out there. And if we open that door and make these lots larger, 1 acre, 2 acres, whatever, with a lot of wetlands, that opens the door for the lot owner in the future to do those kind of things. And it kind of goes against what we're trying to preserve out there. We're fine with the paying the fee in lieu of for the calculation of drainage because, as it stated, we're right on the river. So, and the revisions to the plat, we agree with all of those. I would like to call one item out specifically, item number 10. The maintenance of the quote-unquote open space shall be the responsibility of the HOA. That would be the Marina Beauchene HOA, not the Beauchene HOA. And if that needs further clarification, we'll have Kyle Associates put it on that and spell it out just for clarification. Just because we don't want any miscommunication or misunderstanding in the future, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when we might not all be involved in this. Like I said, Ms. Donovan and Mr. Mayor with Beauchene Homeowners Association are here. I think we've gotten along well, and I think they have no problem with the project. And that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rickey. Anyone else in the audience wish to come and speak in support of this item? And I'm looking over here at the folks from Beauchene. It would probably be good if you came to the mic and give us your name and address and tell us that you do support it, or if you don't support it, whichever way. Would you be willing to do that?
I am Christina Donovan, and I'm the CAO of Beauchene Homeowners Association. My address is 546 Beauchene Drive.
Okay, thank you.
And we've been working together, as Jared referenced, They've been very transparent, letting the HOA see their plans as they develop them. We're going to be going to the next step of they're going to be utilizing our water, sewer, et cetera, infrastructure. So we're currently doing analysis of those systems, determining the upgrades necessary to bring them online. So we have a very good working relationship, and we do not have opposition to the resub or the minor subdivision, making those lots, as Jared Rickey referred to, 5 out of 3. The only thing we were here for, which Jared Rickey stated into the record, was the clarification of note 10 on that map. And then also on that map, I'll reference to you, do you see the street labeled Marina Boulevard in front of some boathouse condos? That is also private drive. That's what we wanted to put on record, even though it's not indicated on the survey. But that is a private drive. That is not a street that the Beauchene homeowners maintains.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? Seeing none, I will close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
I have one question, excuse me. You. You don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a copy of the survey?
Of what we're proposing, or
Yeah.
the entire marina?
Well, the one like we have in our packet.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was looking at parcel K3,
Yes, sir.
and if you look at the width of the driveway easement, and then if you look over to the east of that, where the edge of the water edge line is, between the two, it appears on the survey to be a very narrow.
Yes, sir. And if you come south, I think if you notice the dotted line is the old lot line, whereas the solid line beneath that would be the new lot line, the lot line we're proposing. And as you can see, it kind of triangulates out a little bit more. We know that's a difficult lot, but we're keeping the road right-of-way inside of the dry land. If the small amount of real estate just to the west of that is wetlands, and again, like we said, we're trying to keep everything out of the wetlands. We didn't want to impact it by moving that roadway to the west and going through that process.
But if you go from the edge of the driveway easement to the west, and then on the east side, if you look at the line that's delineated as the water edge,
Yes, sir.
between the two, is there sufficient room to meet the parish's setback requirements
I believe there is.
and still have room to build a house?
Yes, sir. Again, that house that goes there will have to be pushed more to the south of that lot.
Okay,
But if you can kind of see where, actually where it shows the concrete on lot K3, that's part of the old lot. That's actually now part of the new lot. So, yes, sir. And
okay. I just want to make sure.
yeah, it's a small lot. There's no doubt about
I
it.
just want to make sure you didn't paint yourself into a corner.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we spent a lot of time, the reason why parcel K1 seems so disproportionate to the other lots is specifically working around the wetlands. Again, we didn't want to even go for a nationwide permit, which, as most of y'all know, is under, well under half an acre or anything like that. We didn't want to, we could have easily done a nationwide permit for the road, but again, we just don't want to impact any of the wetlands.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In that case, I make a motion to accept with waivers.
You have
Okay.
we have to mention, just to make sure that we have the 3 waivers the public road frontage, the minimum lot size of 1 acre, and also the detention requirements.
All three of those folks?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Randolph. Seconded by Commissioner Randolph. I did have one question, and I guess I want to ask staff, what kind of dollars are we looking at in lieu of the ponds?
It depends on the zoning. Sorry. It depends on the zoning. In the ordinance, it actually has a table that lists the rate for the zoning of the land.
Okay, so we hadn't really calculated that part of it.
No, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1585-MSP, a minor subdivision of partial 3B2 into parcels 3B2A, 3B2B, and 3B2C. The owners are Marmont Properties LLC, surveyors Acadia Land Surveying LLC. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Marty Dean. This property is located on the north side of East Brewster Road, west of Sterling Boulevard, Covington, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing since parcel 3B2 was part of a minor subdivision approved in May 2016. The three proposed parcels meet the minimum requirements of the minor subdivision requirements, and staff doesn't have any objection to the request subject to the two conditions listed here on the staff report.
Okay. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Mark Salvetti, Sterling Properties, 109 North Park Boulevard in Covington. I represent Marmont Properties in our request for the resub here.
Okay. All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wish to speak against this item? Okay, I guess they're leaving. Seeing no further discussion from the public, I'm going to close to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Baggert?
Parcel 3B2A. How do you get access to that parcel?
This is, the parcels are just south of the Sam's retail store. There's an access drive that's kind of hard to see, but it actually is between 3B2A and parcel 3B2C. That's a access drive within River Chase Development. All parcels that buy property here have to grant access to all other property owners. So that gives direct access to Brewster Road.
All right. Mr. Baggert, any further discussion?
No.
All right. Commissioners, I need, if you're in agreement, I need a motion. If you're Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve this request subject to the two staff conditions.
Thank you. Commissioner Crawford.
I second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Crawford. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1586-MSP, minor subdivision of parcel 1 being 40.22 acres into parcel 1A and 1B. Owners are Angela Bass, Virginia Modello, Hannah M. Holly, Frank Joseph Modello III. Surveyor is Land Surveying LLC. Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable James Red Thompson. General location, property is located on the north side of Louisiana 1078, east of Davidson Road, Folsom, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create two parcels from a 40.22 acre parcel. The proposed parcel 1B does not meet the minimum lot frontage of 300 feet for an A1 suburban zoning district, which would require a waiver of the regulation by the commission. The configuration of parcel B as shown on the attached survey is being requested to allow for the existing barn located on parcel A to meet the side yard setback requirements and also to remain as an accessory structure on parcel A. Although they're trying here to preserve some roads on certain parcels of land and also to allow for certain barns to remain on parcel 1B and 1A, staff is not in favor of the variance request, considering that parcel 1B could be reconfigured and meet the minimum size and the minimum lot width.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Come forward and state your name and address, please.
Angela Bass, 41142 Dove Landing Drive in Ponchatoula.
Okay?
The reason that we are requesting the variance, the reason that we're requesting a variance request that's just so opposite, if you look at the survey, the total is right over 40 acres. However, about 9 of it is cleared. So right around 31 acres is considered wetlands. It's on a low-lying branch called Cowpen Branch. If you look where it has the X's that mark the fence line that goes straight up, that is the cleared line to the woods, and then it goes right past the barn about 50 feet or 50 yards, and then it goes to the left all the way to the property line. So that is the cleared land. The rest is low-lying wetlands. So my 4 siblings and I inherited the property from my mom, who still actually lives on the property, and our trouble comes in trying to split it evenly, both financially and to where there's at least 3 of us who are hoping to build on the property. So there's only 10 acres of cleared land that are buildable. So what we've done is we are requesting a variance of 206 feet across instead of the 300 feet across, because if you were to do the 300, it would go almost to the wood line, and so it would take up the majority of the property line. We are hoping to build our house on the left-hand side. My sister, who is here, Hannah Holly, is hoping to eventually build on the right-hand side. The back and the barns, it really doesn't matter who gets the barns. We're not really worried about that. We just wanted to make sure that we met the minimum requirement of 5 acres. And so the reason that we went to the left and in between the 2 barns is because if you go to the right, my brother eventually wants to build back there. And so he's not here today. He's in the military, and he lives in a different state. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of this item? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address, please. Also, be sure you filled out a speaker card.
Hello, my name is Hannah Holly. My address is 331 Ottoman Lane, Mandeville. And I just wanted to say that I am in favor of this and that it would benefit me as well. As my sister stated, 2 of my siblings, she and my brother and I, would like to build on this family property. And we are doing our best to configure it in a way that mostly meets requirements and still preserves the community of the area where we live, and so that's our goal. So I am definitely in support of it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? Seeing none, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Woolley.
Angela, I think. So what I'm getting mostly is that you're trying to divide the property fairly among siblings?
I'm sorry. I'm
That's
trying to figure-
okay.
yeah, yes, sir.
And at the same time, probably make use of the driveway where it's located on the property?
Correct.
as
Well, we are actually more than likely gonna have to make a driveway, I think, coming from the road. So we're gonna have to build our own
Oh,
driveway
So you
anyway.
want to do another driveway?
Right, so the driveway that you see is to my mom's house where it says residence, that's where she currently lives.
Okay.
So that's her driveway.
Being that the smallest parcel is over 5 acres, I don't have a problem with the 206 road frontage. I move for approval with the waiver.
Motion by Commissioner Willie to approve with the waiver. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to second that, but I do have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I understand it's family, and you're going to probably use the same road right now because
Well,
it's there.
I don't know, we had spoken,
They're required to build their own driveway.
Okay, because ultimately, if there's yet a third parcel in the back,
Right.
we need to, it's going to,
Servitude
obviously, there's
and-
going to be a right-of-way that needs to
Right.
be, okay, as long as you're aware of that.
yes, sir.
Not a problem.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is 2019-1600-MSP, a minor subdivision of 11.36 acres being 10.10 acres partial, and partial B2 into parcels 1, 2, and 3. The owners are William and Sherry Caranis. Surveyor Johnny Bono and Associates. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable Jake Grovey III. General location, the property is located on the south side of Louisiana 1088, west of Forest Brook Boulevard, Mandeville, Louisiana, Ward 4, District 7. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 3 parcels from an 11.36 acre parcel. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to Lot 2 not having public road frontage and being accessed via 20-foot access servitude, and also Lot 2 does not meet the minimum lot width of 90 feet under an A4 single-family residential zoning district, which would require a waiver of the regulation by the commission. I'd like to bring your attention to the survey. After a discussion that I had with the owner last week, we discovered that talked over the location of parcel B2. Parcel B2 here is 1.81 acre, and it's not part of the proposed minor subdivision. However, it's currently being accessed through the U-shaped drive that you see on Lot 1. It extends onto parcel B1. And that's the reason for my 2 comments here or suggestion in 1 and 2. Basically, staff could not be in favor of a minor subdivision if it was going to be cause B1 to be landlocked. What we suggested here to the owner is to amend the petition basically and to combine Lot 2 and 3 and to use the servitude of passage to access B1 and to include B1 into the minor subdivision. I spoke to the owner again this afternoon, and if I'm not mistaken, they are in agreement of making this change. However, it will still require a waiver of the width here of between Lot 2 and Lot 3, which will be connected together. If you see here, the distance is called L1 is not 90 foot in width.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address.
My name is Shari Karanis, 23098 Highway 1088 in Mandeville, 70448.
Okay, you heard staff's comments?
Yes, I agree with what they say. I don't have a problem with that. I spoke with John Bono earlier today, and we're gonna redo the survey to take care of that. So there's no issue.
That satisfy you, Helen?
Yes, yes. So basically, it will be approved subject to option number 1.
Right, right. Okay, any further comment?
No? I just hope you let me do this.
All right, Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing none, I will close it to the floor to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Staff, Ms. Helen, we are making the amendment based on option 1 where lots 2 and 3 remain.
Lot 2 and 3 will become just one lot.
One parcel.
Yes.
But we still will need a waiver because,
Because if you see the little line in between Lot 2 and 3,
Yes.
it's identified as L1. It's not 90 foot wide, it's 31.31 feet.
okay,
So basically, but the two lots will be combined together and the servitude of passage will be moved a little bit to the right to allow for a servitude of passage or the access to be provided to parcel B1.
gotcha. Okay. Well, with that, I'd like to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation to amend this request with option 1 and to also include the waiver.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Randolph. Commissioner Lauren.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Lauren. Any further discussion?
This is gonna
Please
become
vote.
one lot. And this servitude of passage is gonna move here, because right now they're going through here.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1608 MSP, a minor subdivision of parcels A2, B2, being 3.07 acres, and the parcel A2, B2-1, A2, B2-2, A2, B2-3, A2, B2-4. The owners are Lusk Management LLC, Blake Lusk, surveyors Kelly McHugh and Associates, Parish Council District Representatives, Honorable Riker Toledano. General location, the property is located on the south side of Hickory Street, east of US Highway 190, Service Road, Covington, Louisiana, Ward 4, District 5. Staff?
The applicant is requesting to create 4 lots from a 3.07 acre parcel. The minor subdivision request requires a public hearing due to Lot A2B was previously part of a minor subdivision approved in August 2018. And lots 1, 2, and 3 are not, do not meet the minimum lot size of 1 acre. And staff does not have any objection to the request, considering that it meets the minimum lot size of A5 and the minimum lot size under MD1.
Okay, thank you. Do we have someone here representing the owner developer? See no one rising, or excuse me, or coming to the mic? I would suggest that this be postponed until we get somebody here. Commissioner Lauren.
I'll make a motion to postpone until next month.
Motion by Commissioner Lauren to postpone. Commissioner Baggert.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Baggert. Commissioner Reshort.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Helen, I have a quick question. This comes up every so often when we're looking at a new request on a subdivision we had previously approved. Can we, is it something we can look up and see exactly what the previous request was, or can we get a copy of that? Because it might make a difference in some of our decisions. If we made a decision to subdivide it in a certain manner, and 6 months, a year later, someone else wants to re-subdivide it, I'm not saying anything nefarious was going on, but it could be an end around, so to speak.
I'll be happy to include the previous survey and make a note in the packet in the future.
Is that not too much work to do?
No,
'Cause
it's,
that would be
I
very
have to
helpful.
research it anyway. I have it
Okay.
in my file, so I'll just insert an additional copy and it'll be, yes, I can do that.
Thank you very
No
much, I
problem.
appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
All right, now that's a motion to postpone, right? All right, re-subdivision review, we have none. Petitions, waivers, requests, we have none. Dormant subdivision review, we have none. Tentative subdivision review, we have none. But then we get to the good part. Preliminary subdivision review. First item was postponed. Next item is 2019-1607-PP, Lakeshore Villages Phase 8. Developer owners D.R. Horton Incorporated, Gulf Coast. Engineer surveyors, Duplantis Design Group, PC, Acadia Land Surveying, LLC. Parish Council District Representative is the Honorable S. Michelle Blanchard. General location, this property is located north of Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of Louisiana 433, east of Interstate 10, Slidell, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
Yes, sir. The preliminary plans and hydrologic study have been reviewed by this office, and an inspection was made of the site. It is recommended that preliminary submittal be approved, subject to the following. Number one, the traffic impact analysis for this development is currently under review. Approval of this TIA is required from the LADOTD and St. Tammany Parish. Number two, a waiver of the maximum block length of 1,500 feet is being requested. The proposed block length is 1,528 feet. Staff has no objection to this waiver request. In order to approve this waiver request, a 2/3 majority vote of the full membership of the commission is needed. Number three, this phase of Lakeshore Villages does not currently connect to a roadway within a recorded phase of Lakeshore Villages. The final plats for Phase 8 cannot be recorded until the final plats for Lakeshore Villages 4A-1 have been recorded. Number four, provide required information for servitude connection to water well site, including purpose, lengths, and bearings. Number five, provide written approval from Oak Harbor East Utilities for the proposed water and sewer plans. Number six, provide signed and stamped LDH application for this project and revise application to include information for the required sewer force main. Number seven, provide a water and sewer system capacity letter verifying the existing system has capacity to service this phase of Lakeshore Villages. Number eight, a letter of no objection from St. Tammany Parish and LDH approval is required for this development. There is no funded maintenance obligation required since this is a community development district owned and maintained subdivision, and there are no mandatory development fees since this had a public hearing prior to January 1st, 2005. Thank you.
Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Morone on behalf of D.R. Horton Incorporated, Gulf Coast, Lakeshore Villages Phase 8. To run through some of the staff comments regarding comment number one and the traffic impact analysis. As you all probably are familiar from other phases, the traffic impact analysis and the overall traffic improvements for this development really are a collaborative effort between the state, the parish, and the developer. There have been a number of meetings recently where these issues have been discussed. We have every belief that study will be approved shortly. We recognize that no work order can be issued until that is done, and we have no objection to that. With regards to the waiver, if you'll look at the plat that is in the packet, you'll see that that additional 28 feet is really needed to keep consistency and continuity with the rest of the development. There are a number of streets that are parallel there, and we are only asking for the additional 28 feet, but in order to keep that uniformity in place, we would ask for the waiver of the 28 additional feet. With regards to item number three, we are aware that this additional plat from another phase will have to be filed to make sure that there is adequate access. That phase is well out in front of this parcel. We hope to be in a position to seek final approval probably at your November meeting for final, which would allow us to file that plat well before the infrastructure would be in place, and we come back to you for final on this plat. So we are aware of this issue. Timing is such that we should have no problem having that plat filed well before we would be in a position to come back and ask for final on parcel 8. Item number 4, we will comply with that on the final plat, and items 5 through 8, we have requested these items and are in process of gaining these approvals. Again, large project, ongoing relationship with regards to the providers, the state, and the parish on these issues, and we have every expectation that we'll have those approvals shortly. So we would respectfully request your approval of preliminary for parcel 8, subject to the staff comments. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of the commissioners might have.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of this? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. But while I've got the floor, I'm gonna, you did explain the Phase 4A that we haven't seen it yet to approve.
Yes, you have not, you've seen it for preliminary, it's under
Right.
construction, you haven't seen it for final, but you should be seeing it by November.
Okay. In my mind, and maybe I'm wrong, but several of these items aren't gonna go anyplace until at least October. And by the time we get, you know, the TIA and, there was one or two others, I think. Well, the phase of Lakeshore Village, that particular one that we just talked about. And even though it's only 8 items, I think we need to postpone this until next month. I don't know if the commissioners will, you know, follow suit on this or not. If they do, okay. If they don't, okay. I mean, it's just a comment.
Understood. May I comment on the TIA?
Sure.
All I would say in regards to the TIA is that, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been in all those meetings, but from talking to the engineers and the client, my understanding at those, there have been 2 meetings fairly recently on that issue, and we would hope that that issue would be resolved before your October meeting. Certainly couldn't guarantee that, but we are hopeful that that would be the case. And I think there's a reasonable expectation that excuse me, that could happen. So we would ask for your consideration to move forward this evening, believing that these items would be resolved before October, before the second week in October when your meeting would take place.
Okay, thank you. Chris, do you have any comment?
Just that he is correct in that regard as far as the TIA. You know, we've gone through it, and there's recommended improvements to be done that are outside the footprint of the subdivision. And the TIA actually covers like 4 other phases. It's not just specific to this phase. You know, and the approval and the required improvements to move forward with this phase or allow them to come through for final would be something that would be where we would hold them up at.
Do you think we would have the approval within this next 30-day period, or should we move forward and postpone till our October meeting?
I have no objection to moving forward with this one. I can't speak on behalf of LADOTD and they require their timeline and their approval.
Okay.
I know for us, we'd be able to finish going through it on our side, and if we had any comments at that point.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'm bringing it back to the commissioners. Commissioner Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been an interesting project as a whole, and there's been a lot of discussions. We've done some give and take on some of our timelines just simply because of the scope. And actually, they've been very good parties to work with. I don't have a problem approving this preliminary based on staff recommendation. And I also don't have an issue with the waiver. And I'm usually a stickler for some of those waivers, but this is less than 2% of the overall length of the block. So I'm going to make the recommendation to approve, subject to staff comments all being met, and include the waiver. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Randolph.
A second.
Second by Commissioner Randolph. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is final subdivision review. 2019-1599-FP, Terabella Phase 1A-10, developer owners, Terabella Group LLC, Engineer Surveyors Kelly McHugh and Associates Incorporated. Parish Council District Representative Honorable Marty Dean and Honorable James Thompson. General location, the property is located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 1085, west of Bricker Road, Covington, Ward 1, Districts 1 and 3. Staff?
Thank you. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on August 27th, 2019. The inspection disclosed that all the asphalt roads are constructed and all subsurface is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of the final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. Number 1, blue reflectors need to be installed at fire hydrant locations. Number 2, streets need to be cleaned so a meaningful inspection can be made. 3, subsurface drainage needs to be cleaned of silt and sedimentation. 4, BMPs need to be installed in accordance with the previously approved SWIP plan. 5, revise the length of streets in the general information table to reflect 1,925 feet of asphalt roadways and 610 feet of concrete roadways. 6, provide an as-built outfall elevation for the subsurface pipe next to lot number 153. 7, revise the as-built paving and drainage plan to include required information as denoted on the signed fill and grading statement. 8, revise call-out on southeast end of Terrence Drive from 24 feet of 36-inch RCP to 8 feet of 36-inch RCP. 9, sewer services are not shown for lots number 104 and number 105. Revise the as-built water and sewer plan to show this information. 10, provide a water and sewer system capacity letter verifying the existing system has capacity to service this phase of Terabella. 11, provide a letter of acceptance and responsibility for the perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer systems from the utility provider. 12, provide a clear water test for the new water lines within this phase of Terabella. 13, end-of-road treatments need to be added to all future stub-outs along Cottage Lane. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, warranty obligations will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 1,925 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for a total of $42,350, and 610 linear feet at $25 per linear foot for a total of $15,250, for a grand total amount of $57,600 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. No mandatory development fees are required at this time since the developer has entered into a voluntary development agreement and has paid all current fees. This subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone again, this time on behalf of the Terabella Group LLC, Terabella Phase 1A10. As Mr. Tissue noted, all of the material field work, construction of the roadways, roadside ditches is complete. In fact, all of the actual on-site work is completed other than item 13, which is the end of the road treatments that are needed at the stub outs along Cottage Lane. I spoke to the contractor this morning. Those are supposed to be delivered by tomorrow. He assured me that they would then be in Thursday, Friday at the very latest. With regards to items 1 through 4, the blue reflectors are down. The streets have been cleaned. The subsurface drainage has been cleared of silt, and all the BMPs are in place. Items 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all plat revisions, which Mr. McHugh's office is prepared to make. Item 9, we verified in field that in fact those sewer services are in fact in place on the ground. It was an error that they were omitted on the as-bills. Mr. McHugh's office is adding those to the as-bills. In regards to items 10, 11, and 12, I spoke with Mr. Tim Brown this afternoon, who is the head of Tammany Utilities. He tried to get me the letters required for items 10 and 12 and had intended to do that. There was an illness in his office and he was unable to get that letter to me today. He was kind enough to call after hours, though, to apologize and said that I could certainly convey to you that he has those letters. Everything is fine. He will get them to us tomorrow, and then we will get them over to your staff. The only other item is item 11. All that he was waiting on to be able to issue that was he did want to make sure that there were certain fees were calculated correct and that the payments were made. As soon as he does that, he's prepared to issue that letter as well. So there is nothing left to do other than to put the road, end of road treatments in place and to correct these few as-built items, all which can be done very soon and perhaps should be by the end of the week. So we would respectfully request your approval of final for Terabella Phase 1A10 in accordance with your staff's comments and my comments made this evening. I'll be happy to answer any questions that any of you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Morone. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Yes.
And you have no problem with the warranty obligation?
No,
at
sir.
all?
No objection.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the case.
Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Commissioner Willie. Seconded by Commissioner Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1603-FP. Ashton Park, fourth filing. Developer owners First Horizon Incorporated, the engineer surveyors Benchmark Group LLC. Parish Council District Representative is Honorable Chris Canulet. The general location, property located on the south side of Haas Road, east of US Highway 11, and north of North Queens Drive, Slidell, Ward 8, District 8. We have someone here representing First Horizon. All right, please come forward, state your name. Tell us what all we're missing.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, representative developer on this project. My name is Murray McCullough. Did you want to read, were you going to read the?
Do you mind, Mr. McCullough, if I
No,
could
not
read
at all.
just comment into the record?
Not at all, please.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on August 28, 2019. The inspection disclosed that all the concrete roads are constructed, subsurface drainage is functioning, and detention ponds are constructed. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of the final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. Number 1, provide 28-day concrete compression test reports. 2, provide trench bedding and backfill test reports. 3, provide engineers' periodic inspection reports. 4, include on page 1 of the final plat the engineers and surveyor's seal, signature, and date. 5, the addresses along Louisiana Iris Circle must include the entire road name, not the abbreviated Louisiana Iris Circle. Revised plat accordingly to eliminate this conflict. 6, provide a cross-section for the pond expansion between Louisiana Iris Circle and Settlement Court. 7, provide as-built elevations at all property corners in accordance with the approved preliminary plans and the signed fill and grading statement. 8, as-built elevations shown the drainage plan conflict with as-built elevations provided in the storm drainage summary table. Revise the drainage plan table to eliminate conflicts. 9, remove or revise the drainage methodology information from the general notes section of the drainage plan. 10, no drainage feature is currently installed for the drainage servitude abutting POA-8 in lots number 240 through 242. The required drainage feature needs to be constructed in the field and the as-built drainage plan revised to include a cross-section showing elevations and the installed feature. 11, the ditch on the west side of POA 14 appears to end abruptly. Revised drainage plan to show complete path of constructed ditch. 12, show sewer pipe diameter and material in the as-built sewer plan. 13, as-built elevations shown in the sewer plan for sewer manhole A5 conflict with as-built elevations provided in the sanitary sewer structure chart. Revise the sewer plan and chart to eliminate conflicts. 14, numerous constructed sanitary sewer pipes do not meet the minimum proposed design slopes. Provide clearing velocity calculations for all sewer lines that do not meet the minimum design slopes to show these lines have the minimum required clearing velocity of 2 feet per second. 15, provide a water and sewer system capacity letter verifying the existing systems have capacity to service this phase of Ashton Park. 16, a speed limit sign needs to be installed in the field and it's shown on the as-built signage plan on Ridgefield Drive near lot number 240 as per the approved preliminary plans. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 2,660 linear feet at $25 per linear feet for a total of $66,500 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. Mandatory developmental fees are required as follows. Road impact fee, $1,077 per lot at 54 lots for a total of $58,158. Drainage impact fees at $1,114 per lot at 54 lots for a total of $60,156. Fees are due before subdivision plats can be signed, and the subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'll turn it
I'm
back to
on.
you.
Thank you, sir. My name is Murray McCullough with Benchmark Group, 11328 Pennywood Avenue in Baton Rouge, 70809. We represent the developer on this particular project. We've gone through the comments, have received those. A good many of the comments have already been completed. It was my intention to compile this all in one package to submit as a single package, such as the revised as-built drawings for the drainage and the sewer that has been mentioned here. We do have the 28-day compression strength tests on the concrete. They're all substantially good. We've also been provided a capacity a letter by Resolve. We also had a letter that was submitted originally with the final plat that Resolve had accepted and approved of both the water and the sewer system, so they will own and maintain those. We have probably the vast majority of this stuff is done and ready, just needs to be compiled and submitted. I would say within the week we'd have all this stuff completed and ready to be submitted to the parish. So with that said, we would respectfully request your approval of this item on the agenda tonight, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? Seeing none, I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Lauren.
I have a question for the staff. Is there not a cutoff date if we're going to take action supposedly tonight on the final plan? What would be the cutoff date to supply all of this information? Shouldn't it be a couple of weeks ago?
Well, those are outstanding comments at the time when they submitted for final approval. And if you guys were to approve this tonight, all these items would still have to be completed until we would look at signing the plats.
I understand that, but if we go by that theory, what in the world is the purpose of this meeting? If you're going to go by the theory that it all has to be complete before you all will sign off on it, why are we meeting? And to my knowledge, I thought we were meeting to make sure that the items that were required were done prior to this meeting. And we come in here with a list of 16, 17 items. And this is not the first time this has happened. We've talked about this repeatedly. So my question again is, if this is up for hearing tonight, shouldn't there have been a deadline a week or 10 days ago for the required information to be supplied by then?
The deadline for this would have been the Friday after last month's planning commission meeting to have all this submitted by.
Okay, so they
So
didn't
we
meet
could
the
have gone through
deadline
the-
on any of this?
No,
stuff?
sir.
Okay. The reason I say that, and I'm not trying to pick on you, but there have been numerous cases where it's been a case where we relied on no permits would be signed off on, or anything would be allowed to proceed until everything was done. And then 6 months later, you find out, well, wait a minute, they didn't put a culvert onto this street. You know, or they didn't do this, or they didn't do that. We've had numerous cases of that. And that puts the burden back on the staff, in essence, to be compliance officers, to me. Okay? And I'm just asking, if we're gonna meet and do this as the final approval, it ought to be done. Okay? Thank you.
Sir, I didn't get your name, please. Well, you gave the name, I just
Yes, sir.
didn't
That's okay.
remember it.
That's all right. I have to look at my license every morning to remember who I am, so.
I've got, I circled 4 items on here that I want to ask about. Like number 10, no drainage feature is currently installed for the drainage servitude abutting POA 8 lots 240, 242. Has that been done?
I believe that has been done. I will need to send my survey crew out there and they're scheduled to go this week to pick up the elevations on that to do to add them to the as-built.
Okay, what about item number 11? The ditch on the west side of POA 14 appears to end abruptly. Has that been fixed?
I believe that too has been fixed as well. That's one of the things my survey crew is going out to check this week. They're scheduled to go out there again.
How about number 13, as-built elevations shown on the sewer plan for sewer manhole A5 conflict with as-built elevations?
Yeah, that's a typographical on the as-built. That's being corrected. Yes, sir.
Okay, how about numerous constructed, no, number 14, numerous constructed sanitary sewer pipes do not meet the minimum proposed design slopes? How are you going to fix that?
That's also was an interpretation on not only my survey crew's part, but also the gentleman in my office who prepared that. I've gone through that with a fine-tooth comb, and they meet the standards.
Well,
So I will be revised. And look, this is a good time to bring this up. When we receive comments from staff, appropriately so, and they have these comments, there's also a thing on the comments that says, you do not submit any revised drawings till after the meeting. Am I correct about that?
Yes,
and so
sir.
that's why a lot of this stuff has been done. And to your point, Mr. Lauren, much of this stuff has been done, but we didn't really submit it to staff in accordance with the instructions we were given on the comments, that they wanted to get through this process before we start, I guess, to the lack of a better word, inundating them again with the corrected information in accordance with the comments that staff has.
okay, well, staff, do you visually check about the sewer lines and elevations and all that? Do you go and look at that to make sure they met all the requirements?
No, sir. No, sir. We don't go out there and shoot grade. That burden falls on the surveyor who provides the as-built and stamps it with his seal as the design professional.
Some of it was, the way the slopes are calculated was incorrectly done by someone in my office, and I've since gone back and corrected all those. It's being done. I haven't submitted to staff in accordance with the instructions on the comment sheets. Also, just so you know, if that's a concern, Resolve has done, they're the owner and operator of the sewer system. They'll take over the responsibility, not only that, but the water. They've already done their inspections of the sewer system. They've already given us a letter of approval and acceptance that they're going to take over this system. So they're happy with what was constructed out there. There was some and look, I take responsibility for it. There's some cleanups on some of the paperwork document, and we're in the process of doing that. And as soon as, if y'all approve this tonight, then we'll be submitting that stuff to staff within the next few days. And to that that point, while it's 16 items, and I'll defer to your staff, they're really not anything major on those items. Yeah, there's 16 items, but they're collectively not a major thing. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. They're not a major thing on this subdivision. Enough to hold it up for another 30 days, and your professional staff that's going to review it. I'm going to put my stamp on it and submit it to them, and your professional staff will review it. So we would like to respectfully request that this be approved tonight. I hope I would answer your question, Mr. Drummond.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I'm going to answer a
But
question.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
No, I'm done with you, sir. I'm just not done with my comments. there were a lot of statements from the gentleman, it's probably done, it might have been done, I'll check with. And under all these might-haves and check with, I'm going to make a motion that we deny until we have the proper paperwork in front of the staff. Postpone?
Yes.
Postpone.
Okay.
I always use the wrong word. For 1 month.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Drum to postpone this case for 1 month. All right, I'm going to make a comment right here to address the revised drawings will not be accepted, the comment that's on the staff's form. The reason that's there, we were having a problem with too many of the engineers coming in 2 or 3 days prior to this meeting and dumping a lot of paperwork, and there was no way that it could ever be done, okay? Commissioner Randolph. Turn your mic on.
Second the motion to postpone for 1 month.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Baggert.
A comment. I agree with Mr. Lawrence said, and I think at some point in time, we gotta draw a line in the sand and say, no final, not this month, no final approval will be given unless everything's submitted on time. It puts a burden on the staff. I think if people know this has to be done, it will be done. That's my comment. And I don't know if we can do that, or it has to be done by the council. But that's my suggestion.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
That's it.
Commissioner Crawford.
Couple of comments. Certainly, I appreciate the staff's items that they have here. They seem pretty complete. I've got a serious problem with some of them, specifically items 8, 10, and 14. Just the fact that, exactly like Mr. Lawrence said, we're here to do a final approval on a subdivision. We should be able to take a look at this, rubber stamp it, move it right along, and proceed with approval, and you continue with the subdivision. But when I see number 14, numerous sewer pipes do not meet the minimum proposed design slopes, whether it's typographical error or it's a survey error or whatever. As we sit here as a commission, it's an error. It's a problem, and I take it as a serious problem myself. So again, along the lines of what Mr. Lawrence said, rather than not approve this, we postpone it for a month, you come in with everything, then it should be a rubber stamp and just move right on. And we should have that on final for all of these cases. The developers should do the absolute best to get as much information in here to where when we approve most of these things, they're little, put up the fence or put up some signs, real simple things that don't have implications of drainage or sewage or those type of things that I'm seeing here. So that's just a personal comment.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to postpone for 1 month. Am I correct? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1605-FP. Lakeshore Villages Phase 4B. Developer, owner, D.R. Horton Incorporated, Gulf Coast. Engineer, surveyor, Duplantis Design Group, PC. Acadia Land Surveying, LLC. Parish Council District Representative, Honorable S. Michelle Blanchard. General location, property is located north of Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of Louisiana Highway 433, east of I-10, Slidell, Louisiana, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
Thank you. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on August 26, 2019. The inspection disclosed that all the asphalt roads are constructed and the subsurface drainage is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of the final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. 1, provide asphalt core test results for the asphalt roadways in this phase. 2, blue reflectors need to be installed at fire hydrant locations. 3, streets need to be cleaned so a meaningful inspection can be made. 4, this phase of Lakeshore Villages does not currently connect to a roadway within a recorded phase of Lakeshore Villages. The final plats for Phase 4B cannot be recorded until the final plats for Lakeshore Villages Phase 4A1 have been recorded. 5, a permanent bench park needs to be established within this phase and depicted on the final plat. 6, provide as-built street elevations for all road sections in Phase 4B. 7, provide as-built elevations at each lot corner in accordance with the assigned fill and grading statement. 8, provide a water and sewer system capacity letter verifying the existing system has capacity to service this phase of Lakeshore Villages. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 887 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for a total of $19,500 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. No mandatory development fees are required since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. This subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Morone again. Again, D.R. Horton Incorporated Gulf Coast. This is Lakeshore Villages Phase 4B. Just to run through the staff comments, the blue reflectors are done. The asphalt core test results are done. We have those. The streets have been cleaned, and we recognize that the prior phase will have to be recorded in order to provide access. I do want to provide some clarification on that because with regards to Parcel 8, the comment for preliminary in Parcel 8 is the same as the comment that you see here and that you will see on our next phase, which is the next case on the agenda. And there is a distinction there in that what needs to be, the plat that needs to be filed to provide access to this phase and to the phase that will come after this for final really is a roundabout that has to be constructed out there. You have already reviewed that and you have approved that. And there was a performance obligation that was put in place for that. That issue will not come back before you. The roundabout is completed, and we should be making the submittal for the recordation of the plat for that roundabout, which will give access to this parcel within the next few weeks. So we will have that parcel platted with access that will connect to this parcel that will provide legal access before your next Planning Commission meeting. So I know that's a kind of jumbled and a lot to say, but there is a distinction between what you have in this staff report, even though the comment is exactly the same. They're really two different areas. For Parcel A, it is referred to as final for 4A1. That will probably be 4A3 and not 4A1 because 4A1 will be this roundabout that I'm talking about. So putting Parcel 8 aside, we've been through that. I don't want to confuse things, but I did want to draw the distinction because if you were paying attention, which I know you were to my comments at preliminary for Parcel 8, I gave you a November date. That would not jive with the October date that I just gave you for this parcel. And the reason is because it's really two different improvements, infrastructure that needs to be in. This relates to the roundabout. With regards to items 5, 6, and 7, our engineers have all of that data, the as-built data. We're prepared to submit that if approval is granted this evening. And then with regards to the water and sewer plan and the capacity letter, we have requested that from the utility company. And if I may just generally speak about some of the issues that you all just talked about on the last case. Having the privilege to be in front of you numerous times for numerous years, this is an issue that I am well familiar with. I have heard this commission stress on numerous occasions the desire to try to have these finals as tight as we possibly can when we come to you. And those of you that have been on the commission for some time have seen, by and large, those lists have shrunk down tremendously. It was not uncommon years ago that you had pages of lists. We have, as the development community, and the development community is vast. It's certainly not just me, it's not my law partner, it's not just Mr. McHugh, it's not Duplantis Design. There are a lot of people that are involved in it, but we have tried to heed that warning and tried to pare these lists down as much as we possibly can when we come to you. Your comments before are well taken and well founded. Ideally, we would like to be able to come to you with no items on our list. And continuing to push to shrink those lists, I respect that, understand, and I agree. I would urge you, though, not to set the bar so high that it can't be reached. And I don't know where the line is, but I hope you would consider not saying that there cannot be any comments on here, because that is going to be almost impossible to achieve. We try to rate some of these things. Obviously, if our roads aren't in and our ditches aren't in, and we've got bulldozers still on the site trying to get that work done, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for us to ask you to approve that. But when we get down to what I will view, and ultimately you'll have to decide what this is, but these minor items, the blue reflectors, minor plat revisions, and I'm not talking about major issues with drainage concerns, but some of these minor issues, I hope that there will be a tolerance level there, because these really are minor items. As the staff noted, there's close to, 20, 30 days where we have their comments, we have the opportunity to address those in the field or on our drawings before we can submit them to you. So that's why oftentimes I come to you, others come to you and say, well, the blue reflectors are in, or these as-builts have been updated. So there is time. So to hold a project over an additional 30 days when these are relatively minor items, I think would be a mistake. So again, I'm not suggesting that anything you all have said or the concerns that you've laid out are inaccurate or illegitimate. I agree with them and I understand it. I ask for a little tolerance, and I can't tell you where that tolerance is. That's something that the commission will ultimately have to decide, and it's probably going to be on a bit of a case-by-case basis. But from my standpoint, I can tell you that I heard those comments. I continue to hear those comments. I continue to tell my clients and work with our engineers to do our very best to get a list that we come to you with that is pared down as much as we possibly can make it. So with that long-winded soliloquy, we would respectfully request your consideration of approval for Phase 4B. I would respectfully suggest that the 8 items here are either done or are plat revisions, and at least in this attorney's opinion would be minor. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Rome. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public, bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph.
Mr. Morone, I just want to make sure that I and anybody else have the phases correct as it relates to the roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
You did say that the roundabout will be completed in Phase 4A1.
Yes, yes, that is correct.
Which is not related to this item that we're talking about in this case.
It is. It is.
Okay.
4A1 is the roundabout. It is what needs to be platted to provide the legal access to this phase.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is, and it will be done, yes.
Okay, so item number 4, the second sentence, the final plats for Phase 4B cannot be recorded until the final plats for Lakeshore Village Phase 4A3, or should it be 4A1?
For this phase, it should be 4A1. That statement is, I believe that statement is accurate as it applies to this case before you. I went into the explanation about 4A3 because it applied to what you heard at preliminary. And
I got you.
And I wanted to try to clarify that, though I know it is, I'm throwing a lot at you and it's confusing. But what the comment for this phase of 4B, I believe is correct as written, and we will comply with it as written.
Good deal. With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation.
And approve?
And approve.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Commissioner Lawrence.
Thank you. It's my turn to make a speech. Number one, I have a question for the staff. On the first page of our sheet, it shows that the flood designation is AH-EL 1.0. I'm used to A, B's, and C's. When did we go to this?
This is actually a FEMA designation, and this one is specific to Lakeshore Villages because it's inside of a protected levee that's certified.
Okay.
And that's the elevation 1 foot is the actual base flood elevation within the levee. But it's only because it's inside the levee itself.
Okay. All right. The other comment is, Paul, I don't know about the rest of the guys and ladies up here on the commission, but in the past, like you say, it's been on a case-by-case basis. And when it's been minor items like the blue reflectors or minor stuff, we normally, and it's a small number, we normally go ahead with that. But this one, when you start getting where the culverts are not in place or the minimum size culverts are not designated, that's where we have a problem saying we stamp it as final. To me, it would almost be like when we were in school, you'd go to take a math test and you'd tell the teacher, well, give me an A and I'm gonna go back and study, And I'll come back and I promise you I'll have it next week, We just have a real concern about putting a final stamp on something because this is not appealable, okay? But with all that having been said and done, I will second the motion.
We have a second to approve by Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Drum.
Mr. Marone, you don't have to get up. You don't have to get up. I totally appreciate your off-the-cuff little talk. I take that to heart. But one of the previous cases we recently had was the gentleman says, I believe, or that's just a typo, and there were major items that I couldn't just take for I believes. And another thing is, I just happened to drive through this phase this weekend. And normally when you go through a new area that's being built, you have to go over potholes that haven't filled in or big clumps of mud. All these streets were clean, even with all the stuff going on. I was surprised. I thought for sure I'd come out with 2 or 3 nails in my tires, but I didn't. So you could pass on that they're keeping the area nice and clean. Everything's going up well, and I thought it was really well being put together job. That's it.
Commissioner Baggert.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate Mr. Marone's comments, and after listening to him, I don't disagree with you if it's something minor. But then again, if it's something major, we gotta cut it off.
Thank you. Paul, I'll say ditto on that. We've, as you well know, most of the phases that we've looked at in Lakeshore Villages have been relatively short lists, and they've been blue reflectors. Sometimes it's street signs aren't in because there's no one living there, and consequently they become a souvenir for somebody. And we understand that, and things like that we're not going to hold up, but when it comes to major items, we're going to hold it up. Okay? With that said, and I think all the commissioners have had their say on this, and I appreciate it. Let's have a vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2019-1606-FP. All right, Lakeshore Villages Phase 4A2, developer owners D.R. Horton Incorporated Gulf Coast, engineer surveyors Duplantis Design Group PC, Acadia Land Surveying LLC, Parish Council District Representatives Honorable S. Michelle Blanchard. General location, the property is located north of Oak Harbor Boulevard, west of Highway 433, east of Interstate 10, Slidell, Louisiana, Ward 9, District 13. Staff?
Thank you. Periodic inspections have been made by this office during construction, and the final inspection was made on August 26, 2019. The inspection disclosed that all the asphalt roads are constructed and the subsurface drainage is functioning. The following uncompleted items existed at the time of the final inspection and will be completed before the plats are signed. 1, provide asphalt core test results for the asphalt roadways in this phase. 2, blue reflectors need to be installed at fire hydrant locations. 3, streets need to be cleaned so a meaningful inspection can be made. 4, this phase of Lakeshore Villages does not currently connect to a roadway within a recorded phase of Lakeshore Villages. The final plats for Phase 4A2 cannot be recorded until the final plats for Lakeshore Villages 4A1 have been recorded. 5, a permanent benchmark needs to be established within this phase and depicted on the final plat. 6, revise restrictive covenant number 9 to reference Phase 4A2. 7, provide as-built street elevations for all road sections in Phase 4A2. 8, provide as-built elevation at each lot corner in accordance with the sign, fill, and grading statement. 9, provide as-built invert elevations at the pipe inlet tie-in location for drainage structure number 651. 10, provide as-built invert elevations at the pipe inlet tie-in location for drainage structure number 427. 11, provide a water and sewer system capacity letter verifying the existing system has capacity to service this phase of Lakeshore Villages. 12, provide a letter of acceptance and responsibility for the perpetual maintenance and operation of the water and sewer system from the utility provider. 13, the 8-inch solid white striping for the pedestrian crosswalks are not shown along Bowdoin Harbor Road per the approved preliminary plans. Revise the as-built plans to reflect this striping and install striping per approved plans. Should the Planning Commission approve the request for final approval, a warranty obligation will be required for the infrastructure in the amount of 3,592 linear feet at $22 per linear foot for a total of $79,000 for a period of 2 years. Staff recommends approval of the proposed final subdivision request, subject to the developer complying with all comments and no plats to be signed until all items are satisfactorily completed. No mandatory development fees are required since a public hearing was held prior to January 1st, 2005. This subdivision is within the urban growth boundary line. Thank you.
Mr. Morone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Marone for the last time this evening, again on behalf of Lakeshore Villages. These staff comments are very similar to what we just went through on page 4B, other than item 13, which is some white striping that needed to be put in place for the crosswalk. I can report to you that that work is completed. No further work is needed to be done there, and the as-built will reflect that. Item 1, the asphalt core tests are done. The blue reflectors are in. Item 3, the streets have been cleaned. And item 4 is the same, the roundabout issue that I explained with regards to the last case. And again, that will be in place as well. All of items 5 through 10 are plat revisions, which our engineers have the information. We're prepared to submit those. And we have requested the letters from the utility company. So there is no more field work to be done on this phase as well, and we'd respectfully request your approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have about any particular items that appear on the list.
Thank you, Mr. Morone.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against? I'll close it to the public and bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Randolph. Motion by Commissioner Randolph to approve. Commissioner Baggert.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Baggert. Chris, on this list, and Mr. Morone said that, I believe it was 5 through 13 are all plat revisions. Do you concur with that? It's not something that y'all have to go back out to the site to confirm that it's been done?
It would be 5 through 10 are all just CAD revisions for the most part. 11, 12 are letters from the Oak Harbor East Utilities.
But that's something that once you have the letters in place, you don't have to go back out and confirm anything?
No, sir. At that point, they own and maintain it.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, and like we discussed earlier, the blue reflectors, that's minor, cleaning the streets, I would call that minor unless it's got 4 foot of mud on it or something like that. I don't know about the asphalt core test, I don't know. Normally, I would say those don't take that long to get done. And I guess it goes to a lab to inspect or comes to this office to confirm that the asphalt core test meets the specifications. Is that the way that works?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It goes to a private lab.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, with all that being said, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Any amendments to chapter 125? We have none. Old business? Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? All right, hang on. You got it.
Back to the engineer that was here before for Ashton Park. When he certifies that the pipes are 24 inches and the slopes are this, does he go out there and check that during construction?
His surveyor should. Whichever, when we get the plans in from them, the as-bills,
Right.
we look to make sure that whatever we had that we approved at preliminary is reflected in the field at that point, and we rely on the surveyor that's going out there and stamping those plans to check the size of the pipe, the inward elevations, the materials, and the pertinent information like that that would affect the drainage.
And so, in other words, if all of a sudden the streets are flooding and we go in and we find out the pipes are not the right size, the surveyor could lose his license for certifying that?
As far as the repercussions with lapels, it'd be a separate issue, but with us, we would go back after them to try and rectify whatever the issue would be.
Might be 3 years down the line, though. Yeah. Just asking.
Okay.
Yeah, that has happened from time to time, okay, and I don't know how the courts would handle that, but I would think that the engineering firm would be responsible for doing whatever is necessary, whether it means pulling those culverts out and replacing them with the right size culverts or just what, but within a certain period of time. And what is it, normally a 2-year warranty, Chris, on final?
Yes, sir. As long as they do a proof roll with the roadways, it's a 2-year warranty.
So if it's 2 years and 3 months, then, you know, there's a problem there. But if it's within the 2 years, it's the owner, engineer responsibility to replace those culverts. Okay? Thank you. With that said and everything, thank staff, thank everyone here. Thank the commission for their comments. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Boy, everybody jumped on that one.